DibtheAwesome here to give you a Monster Origins Guides, where we talk about monsters' moves, rune sets, partners, all of that jazz. Today we are talking about Ultrabot. So you're probably wondering, Dib, why did you decide to make a guide today on Ultrabot? Well, it's because he became a Metabot. uh, you see, you want to get you get the thumbnail now, because I'm clever. Ultrabot, Metabot. That was a great show, by the way, Metabots. But yeah, why has he become a Metabot? Well, I'll tell you why. He has become breedable now, and it's the only reason why I'm doing a guide on him of all times of now when there's new stuff. Look at all the new stuff up here, all that jazz, and all the other stuff that I still need to do, Vanos guide, all that jazz. Yeah, why am I doing a guide on this? Because he's become breedable. He's now essentially a free player monster. You can breed him. All you need though is one epic monster you can breed, which is Dark Anubis. It is right here. This guy, you need Dark Anubis, and then you need, okay, so this is the tricky part. I'm thinking that they'll bring this up in a team shop in the future, so you should totally cash in on it, cash in on one. When it does come out, you need Gold Raw. It's a beetle, it's essentially the metal, upgraded metal version of this thing, free tail. Essentially, that's all it is, really. But you need those two monsters to make Ultrabot. Why is this huge? This is huge because of he gets bonus. At 115, these are his stats at 115. Any monster that can be breedable benefits being leveled. I mean, like that benefits from the lab and essentially becomes a way better monster than it could. I mean, that it could have been, or it has better potential now. It's because at 100, this thing isn't appealing. The stats on this are not appealing at all. But when you can rank up the monster, it becomes better, and that's just just the way of life. If you can rank it up, if you can level it up further than where it was at the max cap, it gets better. Any monster that can get ranked up gets better because the stats are better. It runs better. When a monster has better stats, they usually run better. Which essentially goes for every monster in the game. Any monster that can be ranked up, the level up, gets better. It has a higher chance of surviving something. It can be equivalent to, so if everything was max ranked, it would essentially be the same as it was before. Yes, totally. But I think in terms of this situation, since when you're at 100, let's say you're 130, right? Yeah, I'd probably say in the same situation, probably. It's no different than if you were 100, but the damage I think the damage output would be different compared to if you were 100 versus you are 130. If you're fighting at 130, the damage output could be different. Yeah, it just is. But yeah, this just helps him out a lot. So we're going to be talking about his movesets today. We're going to be talking about just what it overall means for the community and all that jazz. Alright, so his power is 3,322. At level 100, this is not by any means appealing. It's just not. His main focus is AoE damage. He's not running the gospel power even close to that, so it kind of hinders his ability to even do a huge amount of damage. If anything, it takes time to kill everything on the field at this point. So the power is not too appealing. His life is 28,500, not 500, 651. This life is pretty moderate. It's all right. You might take a hit or two in terms of common damage. Maybe 2 hits from probably just anything that's not running damage. Or at least 2 or 3 hits. No, that's not right. That's not incorrect. That's incorrect. Let's just say you're just good on natural damage, a little bit, not too much. You can't take too much damage, but you can take a few hits. That's not running any strength runs. If you're fighting against a damage dealer, your odds are you're dead in 2 turns. It's just the way it goes. Speed is 3,454. This is really fast speed. Essentially, he's one of the fastest metal monsters. Just one of the fastest. He's not. I don't know if he's the fastest metal monster in the metal category. He's just really fast. I'd say this is his most appealing stat at 100, but as an attacker, that isn't too appealing. Well, no, never mind. It's not too appealing. Words. It just means, I mean, like in the sense of attacker. Honestly, when you're thinking about attacker, you need to focus on the power, and you need to focus on how much damage he can take. So he can take alright damage, but his power is not too great. It's not too high. You need better power to take advantage of all of his stuff. You can do this with high level runes, or you can rank him up. And he essentially becomes better when he ranks up. He's become meta now, or at least relevant, because you can breed him. He's advantage. You can rank this guy up. You can do that. You don't need to spend gems or anything. All you need to do is spend patience, as in like the 5% chance of getting this thing in terms of breeding. Essentially, you can do that forever. Especially just do the just have the breeding hatchery up, and then you just get this by chance. You just keep doing it until you get enough. It is possible. I have Spark Wedge at level, rank 4, and I've just naturally just kept breeding the same monster over and over again, getting 50 cells. It's just the thing. I don't necessarily feed them all away. It's just the thing I do. And all that jazz. But essentially, at some point, you can get this to higher levels. Preferably, you should get this thing to at least 115. Those are where the stats really shine. You start to see more competitive potential. 110 is alright. This is pretty much like what it would be like if he was at like any normal metal monster would be at like 100, and you rank him up. These are the stats then. But when he's 115, nice. And 120, also nice. If you get this guy to 120, good job to you. Pretty nice base stats all around at 120. So hardened. His trait is hardened. All status effects have a 20% less accuracy against it. So basically, you have a chance not to get possessed. You have a small chance not to get frozen. You have a small chance not to be affected by anything. It's just 25%. This is alright. It's not a solid deny, but in terms of dealing with metal stuff has a variety of deny, from hacking to possession to stop time. Basically, this is just a chance just to avoid deny. It's not a solid resistance to a deny, though, so you have a chance not to be just overflowed by deny. That's pretty much what this is. All that jazz. That's why I was level 11. Infinite power. Deals major special damage to all enemies made days old targets. This is no cooldown, this is his ultimate, and essentially costs no stamina, and it's 65 damage. Essentially, this is just an upgraded version to one of his AoEs. Does 30 more damage, I believe. Just dazes everybody. This helps him take more damage. It helps him sponge more damage, essentially. Well, it's not the most highest special damage. It is nonetheless special damage. The words are outdated. Major, it's not major, it's common in terms of like the rest of the ultimates in the game. But 65, it's alright. It's alright. But yeah, there are stronger special ultimates in the game. This is just essentially this. Hey, you can use this on it. This is usable on everybody, and this makes them do less damage, which again helps him a lot, because we want to take as less damage as possible, because he does his damage over time, essentially. Not in terms of DOT damage, but all of his moves are AoE. A lot of his moves are AoEs, or at least that's kind of the main build I'm going to give you guys. Is it just straight up AoE build? I'm going to mention you could for the memes you could run Sudden Blades for Timeron fights if you wanted to. So the case of the event, someone just actually decides to bring Timeron to the fight, because they would think that you would only run the spammable. You would run the spammable way. We always like, oh, all I have to do is run space time and immune all damage. Yeah, you can run Sudden Blades for the memes, and you can do it. Yeah, it's just a funny thing. That's probably what people would possibly do, and it's you get advantage at that point. It means they lose a coin. Laser Strike. There's only one move I want to talk about in Skill Groups 1, and that is Laser Strike. Deals low special damage to all enemies. This is a 0 turn cooldown, 27 stamina, 30 damage AoE. You can spam this. You can use it over and over again. Essentially, at some point, you will do just enough AoE damage to win the game. You'll swamp the field and just area effect damage. You just will. You can spam it, and everybody's hit by this. At some point, they just lose a lot. It's different. It's great because A, it's special damage. Everybody's taking normal damage from this, and B, it's 30 base damage. If it was 25, I wouldn't be too worth it. But since it's 30, it's thumbs up. It's all right. We usually just stick down to 35 damage in terms of the lowest to go. But since this is spammable, it's viable. You can use this because it's, even though its base damage is 30, it doesn't do any effect. You can still spam it, and it does special damage. That's a plus. Proton Slashes deals heavy metal damage, may magnetize target. This requires a cooldown of 3 turns, 31 stamina, 50 damage, and it magnetizes people for 3 turns. I'm going to say don't bother with this move. There is no reason to run this move whatsoever. He's got, if anything, he has two metal-based moves. This one, Photon Slashes and Pure Energy Blades. This runs on a 2-turn cooldown. This runs on a 3-turn cooldown, and the difference is only 5. It's not worth it. Don't run it. Please just don't. There's no point in it. Self-destruction deals moderate not metal damage, moderate special damage. May stun target. This requires a cooldown of 3 turns, 32 stamina, 40 damage. I'm gonna say this one might not be the one you want to run. Maybe. I mean, you could run it just for the stun thing, but I think you should run self immolation, less stamina. True, it's a 4-turn cooldown, but it does more damage. I'd say always run the thing with the lower cooldowns because you'll use it more. In all honesty, you're going to be focusing on your AoEs for the most part. You're not even going to be focusing on single target damage. If you are, it's kind of taxing on it. You shouldn't really focus too much on it. Should you wish to run a deny move, which is stun, you should run this move. Even though the cooldown is longer, you're going to be focusing on AoE damage most of the time. If you are relying on this move to deny at this point, it means your denier is dead and you've just screwed up or something. You've challenged something way beyond your comprehension, or just the game isn't going your way. That's pretty much whenever you should ever use a single target move rather than your AoEs. Unless it's like you're out of your main damage AoEs and the thing that you're fighting at this point has a lot of life, you can essentially switch over to this. All that jazz. So between these two, run self-immolation if you do choose to run the stun skill. It's not mandatory. It's just an option. It's good for an indication you do need to deny something, but the problem is everybody loves running Metalhead, Timeron, or anything immune to possession, non-possession stun on defense, or just have hard. There's a lot of things that go into it, but you can really only use these moves in specific situations when they're not running that on defense, and that's kind of hard to do because Metalhead is a popular defensive monster. Pure Energy Blades deals major metal damage, gains precision, requires a cooldown of 2 turns, 30 stamina, 55 damage. Now you run this move if you don't really mind not having a stun move, and it gives you more accuracy on your AoEs. This is a good backup plan if you get blinded. If you get blinded, you use this move so you can have full accuracy again, and you can proceed to shoot people down with your lasers. This guy's kind of, if you think about it, this guy's kind of lazy because all he does is he just fires his bots. He just presses a button and watches his drones shoot them. It's like he's like playing a game. He's controlling drones to shoot you down. It's silly. Laser Rain, I forgot to mention this, deals moderate special damage to all enemies and may daze them. Requires a cooldown of 3 turns, 33 stamina, 35 damage. This is the upgraded. I mean, this is the AoE. This is what I said it was the upgraded version of it. This is an upgraded version of Laser Rain. This is good to have. You should be running this move. There's no reason not to. It reduces the damage output of the enemy, and there's a chance they'll miss. The less damage this guy takes, that means that he can spam his AoEs more. He can feel free to go around shooting everybody with his mini bots. So you should be running this move on all sets, regardless of what it is. You just take less damage. Self-immolation deals major special damage. My stun target requires a cooldown of 4 turns, 29 stamina, 50 damage. You run this move if you don't care too much about being accurate with your attacks. You do less. Essentially, you will do less damage. You just get the ability to blind. You just do more damage if you were running this versus self-destruction. It's just the thing. That's the trade-off. Personally, I'd probably run Pure Energy Blades. That way I have an advantage over light monsters if I ever needed it. If I needed a light monster dead immediately, Invarv is kind of tanky, and if I do need to get rid of him, it just needs to be a thing. There's no helping that. But yeah, this is just if you wanted to stun. That's all there is to it. Laser execution deals moderate special damage to all enemies. This requires a cooldown of 3 turns, 33 stamina, 45 damage. Hits everybody on the field. Personally, this is a 45 damage AoE. I love these AoEs that do 45 damage just across the board, and it's special based. There's no reason not to run this move. It's his heaviest hitting AoE in terms of the base skills, not including his ultimate. This is his highest AoE. You need to run this. You need to run it. That's just the thing. You need to run it. If you have double damage, this will do a huge amount of damage to everybody. Same goes for if you're using totem. We're just applying the totem buff at some point. I will say if you're using totem with this monster, your base 30 damage AoE will kill. Just irregardless, it'll kill. Like at some point, like maybe 2 or 3, depending on your rune build. If it's like you're running 2 strength runes, you could probably sweep everybody after 2 rune boosts like strength boosts from totem. That's possibly, or you could win with 1, depends on the base health of the enemy. But essentially, at some point, you'll just, even if this is 30 base power, if you're running totem, you win at some point. There's no way you're not. The only matter of time is when. And if you do, I will say that the ways to counter that is them to be, for you not to win is they just constantly deny Ultrabot, stamina drain them, possess them, how to have you before you even got a chance to move. But if he ever does get a chance to move and he has a bunch of totem buffs, the game's done. He'll wipe out everybody in a one foul swoop. Depending, that goes for any monster in the game too. Any. Because that's what Totem can do. He can make anything that's not running strength or is running strength, but the moves aren't the most strongest moves in the world. He can make them dynamite. He can make any monster make anything explode at some point in time. It could be just 1 or 2 turns, or maybe just it depends on the fight usually. But yeah, that's just what Totem does. So what moveset would I recommend? I would totally recommend running Laser Strike, spammable AoE. You should be totally running this. You run this on all sets. It's spammable. Just constant damage AoE presence. Laser Rain, you should totally be running this. There's no crime for you not to run it. It's AoE day that they do less damage to you. It's helpful. Deals. You should be running. I was about to explain the move again. You should be running Laser Execution, 45 damage AoE. Enough said. It's your main damage move. It's the thing that does the most damage, and like that, like a snap of your finger, in terms of base skills. And for the last skill, I would say you have a choice between Pure Energy Blades, Self-Immolation, or you can run, if you're going to put this guy in the fence, you can run Sudden Blades. And if someone brings Timir on, they're screwed. they lose a coin. If it's like a common or uncommon war, they're going to lose a coin. It doesn't matter. They do. They just do. Because they're going to just automatically assume that he doesn't have a spammable AoE. Hopefully they do know. I mean, hopefully I'm telling you guys right now, don't bring like Timir on with cooldowns activated and not stop time this thing, because he will have a spammable move, and odds are he'll do Sudden Blades on your common, and you can't stop that. You cannot stop that. Well, but it's not in terms of cooldown reduction. You should be cooldowns activated that you do. It's space time. This goes through space time. I guess you could also do this instead of running this. If you do not want spammable AoE, which is weird, you can swap that out for Sudden Blades. Then you can run those 2 AoEs. I mean, they run on 3-turn cooldown, so they'll be up maybe like near the end of the fight, or you could have cleared the fight at that point. It depends on the situation. You could swap that out for the Sudden Blades in terms of the spammable AoE, and then you can run essentially another single target move if you so wished. That's totally up to you. But me personally, I would personally run Laser Strike, Laser Rain, Laser Execution, and I'd probably pick between. I'd probably put this on. Depending on how high I'll have it, I could either put this on defense with sudden blades, so when people use Timir, they're not going to get 3 coins. For sure. Just to, piss people off. Or like, you know, if I'm just having it for like just a straight up offensive set, I'd probably run pure energy blades, so I may not miss with my AOE. I will say that's a pretty much, if you use this along with the spammable AOE, you're not gonna miss your spammable AOE at some point, which will benefit you greatly, and or the other AOEs in your arsenal. That's just my opinion. I mean, you can use this to do more damage to light monsters, which could be a problem with this thing. If should the other monster have high recovery rates, such as Invarv, are just really tanky, I would run the skill solely for those occasions. But yeah, you should really think about it. In terms of rune sets, if you have an X strength rune, you should probably think about putting it on this thing if you ranked it up. I will say only if you ranked it up. Only if it's 115, or like maybe at the least, very least, 110, you may put an X rune on it with 2 speed. That is the only time. The X rune is more than enough to do enough damage, and then you can have the 2 speeds to get ahead of other enemy monsters. That's essentially the only time you may do. With that rune build, you can run the stun. And let's say they have like something like Barbatos on defense, you can stun the Barbatos. They won't be able to do any damage. So you can just easily sweep them. You can deal with things that aren't necessarily good on defense, and you can just take advantage of them being slower than you, because he's a pretty, in all honesty, he's pretty fast. At level like 100. He has He's pretty close to like mainstream denier speed. The mainstream denier speed is the same as the power, 465. It just is, and yeah, you can pretty much get around it. For partners, you can essentially run this with a lot of things. You can run it with damage buffers, you know, Totem. Totem is, and theoretically speaking, in my personal opinion, Totem is the best damage buffer in the game, simply because A, he can stack it multiple times. He can stack the same buff over and over again. That helps damage you, so you can't, at some point, like even if you get like poisoned or bleeding or anything like that, the damage reduction does not matter, because you have so much power at this point. It just takes a small bit of it, and you still can wipe out an entire field. You know, you also can take less damage too. That also combos well. I will say that also combos well with the AoE dazing, with Totem's AoE debuff, which takes 30% of the power away. You can combine that with dazing, and essentially they do half damage. You take away half their power rune, and if they're running base power rune, they essentially do no damage to you. Essentially speaking, that's what it essentially means. And if you're running like a life on that Totem, 2 speeds and a life, that's more, you know, and especially, you know, level 5 rune, life rune, and, you know, 2 speed, you're good to go. you kind of are. Totem can't be denied. That's another bonus too. Totem cannot be denied. He cannot be like stopped from buffing. That's another bonus too. Demise works. AoE life regen. It essentially makes him so Ultrabot is tanky, and with the base life that he has at 115 or 20, that's good enough. That's really good sustainability. He might get another turn in or something like that, maybe by chance. Essentially, that's what all that means. Deniers, you can run Frostbite, AoE, stamina refill. Essentially helps him be able to keep spamming his AoEs, never running out of stamina. Invarv's a valid partner. I think Fire Arena, what is it? It's this legendary right here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. You can essentially run Farina. This is stamina refill. It gives immunity to freeze. All around pretty good for being able to give common deny resistance. Pretty great. Refills stamina, refills life. What more could you ask for? What more could you possibly ask for? And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of what Ultrabot can do in terms of partners. If you guys have other partner ideas, feel free to put them in the comments below. Help your fellow man out in terms of deciding what you want to do with this Ultrabot. Now, there's no definite. This is just kind of my thought on how to run Ultrabot. You can run them however you like. It's just my way of running them. There is no definite way to run any monster. If you don't like my answers, or my answers or opinions on this, go to somebody else. Go seek another guide video. They'll probably say something you'll like to hear. But this is just my opinion. If you want my advice, this is how I would run them. Overall, this might not be the best breedable monster, but I think this is really nice that everybody gets a chance to have a free legend. I mean, like pretty much a free metal legendary. Now there's a chance for everybody to have at least one of each element in terms of breedableness. I would say the light and this one in particular are kind of tricky because each of them require a specific epic, and it's just yeah, and they don't come out too much. That's just the thing. The light one comes out on Team Shop time to time, but that's about it. And I don't think she's up right now. So yeah, that's all you need to know about Ultrabot. I hope you love this video. I'm DibtheAwesome. I'll catch you guys later.